Welcome to my mid-year book freakout tag. Up till now, I have read I guess 20 to 25 books, and so far it has been a really good reading year. I have read a lot of books that I was genuinely curious about. I have also found my love for non-fiction books, and also I'm reading a lot of books that I was really excited to read before. And yeah, it's just been a really good reading year. Also, while I was going through the list of books I have read, I realized that for some reason I'm more gravitated towards fantasy books, and I'm not complaining because my favorite aesthetic is the dark cottagecore aesthetic, and the fantasy books that I am reading encapsulate this aesthetic perfectly. I'm just really enjoying my reading journey and I love it. So let's start the questions for the mid-year book freakout tag. The first question is, what is the best book you've read so far? It would be Welcome to the Hyunamdong Bookshop. It is a book about this woman who decides to leave her job suddenly and pursue her dream, which is to open a bookshop. We see her making various decisions on how to maintain the bookshop, on how to attract customers, on what books to keep in the bookshop, and just basically how to make this bookshop successful. It not only talks about books and coffees and bookshops, but it also talks about how toxic our work culture is. It acknowledges the problem but does not provide a solution to it. When you read the book, you would actually feel seen, you would relate to the characters because the situations that they are going through in their work life is something that we all have to go through at least once in our lifetimes, because there is going to be a moment when we just don't enjoy the job that we are doing. It talks about how not liking the job that you have can negatively impact you, and I loved this book. I already love books about books, but the fact that this book also talked about work culture and how stiff the competition is just made me feel seen. It made me feel understood. If you haven't read it, you should read it because it is also like a really cozy book, and if you're a fan of cozy books, you are definitely going to like this. Next question is, what is the best sequel you've read so far? I have only read one sequel so far, and that is Two Twisted Crowns. This book captures rain perfectly. Like, it is dark cottagecore. It encapsulates that aesthetic perfectly. I just love it so much. It is like the elevated version of One Dark Window. The characters are more deep, the environment is more green, and the mist is so much. There is so much rain. If you want an in-depth review of this book, I have already made a video, so you can go watch that if you want. What is a new release you want to read but haven't gotten to yet? I don't know if this counts as a new release, but Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. While I was watching Carolyn's mid-year book freakout tag, she described this book as a cozier version of The Cruel Prince, and I love The Cruel Prince. I love fairies, and Carolyn gave this book 5 stars. So I'm just really excited to read this book. What was your biggest disappointment of the year so far? The reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I read that trilogy in maybe 2 or 3 weeks, which is very fast for me. And I was so excited to read this book because I just knew that Holly Jackson was going to create a mystery that is going to be amazing. But I was so underwhelmed when I read this book. The book was really slow paced. I did not like the characters. I just wanted to know what the huge plot twist was about, and I actually skimmed read the book a lot. So I really wanted to DNF it at one point, but I also wanted to know what happened in the end. And the ending was also so underwhelming. Like, it was unexpected but very mediocre. Like, I was like, huh? I just don't think the impact was as huge as I wanted it to be, and yeah, I'm really disappointed in this book. What was your biggest surprise of the year so far? Earthlings by Sayaka Murata. I don't know why, but I thought that this was just going to be a dark version of Convenience Store Woman, because I had heard a lot of people say how twisted this book is, how dark this book is, how disturbing it is, but for some reason I wasn't able to comprehend how disturbing it was going to be, how Convenience Store Woman's writer and Earthling's writer is the same person. Like, it just, I still cannot understand how these two books came from the same author, because Earthlings is just so disturbing. I was just so shocked by the things that were happening in this book that I read it in one day, cover to cover. Like, I was supposed to be studying, but instead I was reading this book because it just kept me hooked onto it. Even though I loved it, I want to recommend it. I would tell you to read it at your own caution and check the trigger warnings, because it is on the same level as My Dark Vanessa. If you have read My Dark Vanessa, you just know what I'm talking about. So yeah, read it at your own caution. Do you have a new favorite author? I do. I thought that Erin Morgenstern was my favorite author, and she definitely is, because you know how people say that they would read this author's shopping list, grocery list? I would read the grocery list of Erin Morgenstern, because her grocery list would also be so poetic and amazing, and I just know that I would find something to annotate at least. But another person joining Erin Morgenstern in my favorite authors list is Mona Awad. There is just something very fairy tale-esque about Mona Awad's writing. I could find a lot of elements of Alice in Wonderland in her book Bunny. There were also a lot of fairy tale elements in her book All's Well. And today I started reading Rouge, and it just feels like a really beautiful dark fairy tale. I honestly feel that Mona Awad could be a distant relative of the Grimm brothers, because even their stories are supposed to be really twisted and dark, and yeah, Mona Awad just feels like a relative of theirs. Who is your newest fictional crush? Raven. Actually, all the characters from the Shepherd King duology, they are just so flawed yet so beautiful. Like, their personalities are so amazing and they have such strong characters. They're just so attractive for some reason. I really love them. I really love their growth, and yeah, they're my new favorite crushes. What book made you cry? I don't cry reading books normally, but I think the saddest book I have read so far is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. From the first page onwards, you know that their relationship is doomed. You know that their friendship is not going to last, but you still turn the page because it is just so beautiful reading about their friendship, the things that the characters say to each other, their feelings towards each other, especially the moments they create, is just something so beautiful. You feel hopeful that maybe the ending is going to be positive, but it is not. It is a tragedy. It is going to be negative completely, but you still read on because it's a beautiful book. And I think this is the saddest book I have read so far this year. What book made you happy? The Half of It by Madison Beer. This is a memoir that Madison Beer wrote about her career, her journey to this age. She started singing at the age of 13, and the things that she has faced in her life is just horrific. It makes me so mad at this generation, at this internet generation, because the things that people say online, they don't realize how negatively this can affect a person. Madison Beer has faced a lot of online bullying, which has caused her depression, bipolar disorder, and she has also attempted suicide. It just makes me really feel for her. She just seems like such a genuine and sweet and beautiful person through and through. But to know that even such a sweet person has to go through so many horrific events, just makes me really sad for her, and I just want to protect her at all costs. Why this book makes me so happy is because I know that Madison Beer came out strong. She has not let go of her past. She has not completely moved forward, but she does know what she wants in her life. She is a really strong woman. She has people that really care about her. That just is really motivational and inspirational to me. Yeah, I'm just really happy that Madison Beer has faced her fears and she is this really happy person now. I hope she's really happy. Yeah, if you haven't read it, you should read it. It's a really beautiful memoir. What is the prettiest book you have acquired this year? When the Moon Hatched. The illustrations in this book is just gorgeous. Like, I mean, I just feel really glad that I own this book, but I did not know what this book is about. When I bought it, I actually thought that this was going to be a fantasy book, a beautiful fantasy book that revolves around the moon. But then I received the paperback and read the last page, which contained all the trigger warnings. The book is just looking so beautiful and just feels weird that this book contains so many trigger warnings. Like, now I'm just scared to read it, because what if I don't like it? What if I think that a lot of the scenes are unnecessary? I hope I don't regret my decision buying this book. The last question is, what do you need to read by the end of the year? There are so many books that I want to read by the end of the year, but I guess what I really need to read is Catching Fire and Mockingjay from the Hunger Games trilogy. I have read the first book, The Hunger Games, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. I do want to see what happens next, but for some reason I'm just putting it off because I'm finding these new books to read, and so far I haven't read it, but hopefully by the end of the year I will finish both the books. So this was my mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below what your favorite book of the year has been so far, and I would love to read it if I ever get the time. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.